The world has spent more than 40 years falling in love with Michael J. Fox. We have cheered for the ambitious Alex P. Keaton, traveled through time with Marty McFly, and marveled at the grace of a man who turned a devastating neurological diagnosis into a global crusade for hope. But today, at 64, the beloved icon is making headlines not for a new film or a medical breakthrough, but for something far more intimate and startling. In a move that has sparked conversation across Hollywood, Michael J. Fox has openly revealed his specific wishes for his final farewell, including a list of celebrities he does not want at his funeral. This is not a story of bitter feuds or dramatic industry scandals. Instead, it is a rare and candid glimpse into the mind of a man who has lived half his life in the public eye, while battling a mysterious and enigmatic disease. Fox recently told the Sunday Times that he hopes for an undramatic death, famously stating that he would like to just not wake up one day to avoid the physical trauma of a fall. This same desire for peace and authenticity extends to his memorial. His choice to name specific peers, from former co-stars to legendary directors, is a profound act of personal sovereignty. It is the final boundary of a man who has given nearly everything to his audience, but is now reclaiming his most private moment for himself and those he holds dearest. As we stand in early 2026, Fox's life is a study in contrasts. He is a man who recently celebrated his son Sam's wedding and continues to break records with his foundation, which has now funded over $2.5 billion in Parkinson's research. Yet, he is also an actor who had to retire in 2020 due to the toll the disease took on his speech and memory. His return to the screen in 2026 for a multi-episode arc in the series Shrinking serves as a poignant reminder that while his body may falter, his ridiculous comedic timing and sharp intellect remain untouched. In this documentary, we will explore the remarkable journey of Michael J. Fox from his military childhood in Canada to the heights of superstardom, and analyze why, at this stage of his life, he is choosing truth over tradition and peace over the performance of Hollywood. This is the story of a man who has mastered the art of living with a tragedy and is now teaching us how to prepare for the end with dignity, humor, and an unwavering sense of self. To understand the man who can so clearly define his boundaries at 64, we must look back to the origins of his grit in the heart of Alberta, Canada. Michael Andrew Fox entered the world on the 9th of June, 1961, as the fourth child in a household that was anything but quiet. Growing up with a brother and three sisters, Michael was part of a bustling family unit that provided the early warmth of a close-knit community. However, the defining characteristic of his childhood was movement. Driven by the professional obligations of his father, William Fox, William led a life defined by discipline, serving as both a police officer and a member of the Canadian Forces. This background instilled in young Michael a deep sense of structure and responsibility that would later help him navigate the chaotic waters of international fame. The constant relocation from one city to another as a military brat meant that Michael had to learn how to adapt and make friends quickly, a trait that served him well when he eventually stepped into the spotlight. It was not until 1971, when his father retired from active duty, that the family finally found a permanent anchor in Burnaby, British Columbia. This suburban landscape gave Michael his first real taste of stability and a sense of belonging during his most formative teenage years. While his father provided the discipline, his mother, Phyllis, provided the creative spark. As a payroll clerk and a working actress herself, Phyllis showed Michael that resilience and artistry could coexist. Her influence left an enduring impression on him, suggesting that a career in performance was not just a dream, but a tangible possibility. Long before the bright lights of Hollywood beckoned, Michael's heart belonged to the ice. Like millions of other Canadian children, he lived and breathed hockey, spending his winters dreaming of carving out a professional career in the National Hockey League. He possessed the passion and the skill, but he faced a physical hurdle that no amount of practice could overcome: his stature. In the rough and tumble world of competitive Canadian hockey, his smaller frame posed a significant challenge. Rather than letting this limitation define his future, Michael pivoted with a grace that would become a hallmark of his character. He began exploring other forms of expression, gravitating toward the guitar, music, and the visual arts during his teenage years. This exploration naturally led him to the world of storytelling. At the remarkably young age of 15, Michael took a bold leap into professional entertainment that most adults would find daunting. He auditioned for a Canadian television series titled Leo and Me, produced by the CBC, and his natural talent was immediately evident to the producers who cast him in the role. This early success did more than just launch a career. It validated his inner passion and provided him with a unique training ground in front of the camera. He spent the following years building his resume through local theater and minor television roles, gaining the confidence needed for the next big step. He even began appearing in American film productions that were shooting in Canada, allowing him to understand the nuances of both industries. By the time he turned 18, the boy from Edmonton had outgrown the Canadian circuit and made the pivotal decision to move to Los Angeles, determined to conquer the heart of the global entertainment industry. The transition from a Canadian newcomer to a Hollywood household name did not happen overnight. But when it arrived, it did so with a force that changed the landscape of television history. When Michael J. Fox arrived in Los Angeles at 18, he navigated a grueling landscape of small roles and failed auditions that tested his resolve. The breakthrough that would define his early career came in 1982, when he was cast as Alex P. Keaton in the NBC sitcom Family Ties. For 7 years, Fox portrayed the ambitious, briefcase-carrying young conservative with such nuance and charm that he transcended the script, winning 3 Emmy Awards and a Golden Globe. It was during this meteoric rise that he adopted his famous screen name, Michael J. Fox, as a tribute to an actor he admired, a name that would soon be plastered on cinema marquees worldwide. While Family Ties made him a television star, it was his foray into film that transformed him into a global phenomenon. In 1985, Fox took on the role of Marty McFly in Robert Zemeckis' Back to the Future, a performance that remains a cornerstone of American pop culture. His energetic and relatable portrayal of the time-traveling teenager turned the film into an immediate cultural sensation and launched a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Throughout the rest of the 1,980 seconds, Fox proved his incredible range, shifting effortlessly from the teen idol whimsy of Teen Wolf to the gritty, critically acclaimed drama of the Vietnam War film Casualties of War. He was at the absolute zenith of his powers, a young man who seemingly had the world at his feet. However, in 1991, while filming Doc Hollywood, the trajectory of his life was permanently altered by a subtle tremor in his finger. At just 29 years old, Michael J. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a progressive neurological disorder. The news was a devastating blow that he initially kept hidden from the public eye. For 7 years, he lived a double life, continuing to star in major projects like Spin City, while privately grappling with the physical and emotional toll of the illness. He displayed immense courage, choosing to work through the symptoms and delivering performances that combined humor with a new, deeper vulnerability. The world finally learned the truth in 1998, and the revelation was met with an outpouring of support that was as overwhelming as the diagnosis itself. Rather than retreating into the shadows, Fox chose to use his platform to shed light on a condition that many found frightening or misunderstood. He authored memoirs like Lucky Man, detailing how he navigated the shock of his diagnosis and found a way to view his struggle as a gift rather than a curse. This era of his life marked a transition from being a star of the screen to becoming a symbol of human resilience. He continued to take on challenging roles in series like The Good Wife and Rescue Me, proving that his talent remained undiminished, even as his body faced mounting challenges. This period was the forge in which the modern Michael J. Fox was shaped, a man who understood that his legacy would be defined not just by the characters he played, but by the strength he showed when the cameras were off. As Michael J. Fox reached his 64th year, his identity as a legendary actor had long since merged with his role as a transformative force in modern medicine. He is no longer just a face on a screen. He is the architect of a global movement that has fundamentally altered the trajectory of neurological research. By early 2026, the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, MJFF, reached a monumental milestone, having funded more than $2.5 billion in cumulative research since its inception in 2000. This staggering figure is not merely a number on a ledger. It represents a lifeline for the more than 10 million people worldwide living with the condition. In a remarkable show of momentum, the foundation awarded over $129 million in new grants in the final months of 2025 alone, targeting everything from the tracking of disease symptoms to the acceleration of the therapeutic pipeline. The current landscape of Parkinson's research, fueled by Fox's advocacy, is witnessing what experts call an inflection point. One of the most significant breakthroughs entering 2026 is the validation of the alpha-synuclein seed amplification assay, alpha-syn, CAA, a biological test that can detect the hallmark misfolded protein of Parkinson's in spinal fluid years before motor symptoms even appear. This discovery, supported by data from the Foundation's landmark Parkinson's Progression Markers Initiative, PPMI, has received a formal letter of support from the FDA, a move that is expected to drastically speed up clinical trials for new drugs. Furthermore, as we enter the first quarter of 2026, clinical trials are launching for ACT-02, a first-in-class neuroprotective therapy that has shown potential in slowing disease progression. Fox's impact extends beyond the laboratory and into the halls of government. In late 2025, his foundation launched aggressive new policy initiatives to improve care and advocacy, including the appointment of its first executive vice president and chief strategy and policy officer. This political push aims to ensure that the scientific breakthroughs funded by private donations are met with robust federal support and accessible healthcare for those in need. Fox himself remains a central figure in this momentum, frequently appearing via video or in person, to remind donors and scientists that the science is ahead of the money. His foundation's high-risk, high-reward model has bridged the gap where traditional funding often fails, supporting innovative studies like the use of artificial intelligence to unravel complex genetic mutations. Even as he faces his own daily physical hurdles, the shortening timelines, and the reality of living with a condition that he admits has made it hard to walk, Fox's focus is outward. He has created a legacy that will outlast any film role. In 2026, the Foundation is hosting massive educational symposia to empower patients with tools to manage their lives today, ensuring that they are not just waiting for a cure, but living well in the meantime. Through his tireless work, Michael J. Fox has proven that optimism is not just a feeling, but a strategy. He has turned his personal tragedy into a $2.5 billion engine of hope, ensuring that the next generation of Marty McFlys will face a future where Parkinson's is a treatable and eventually curable condition. At 64, Michael J. Fox has reached a stage of life where he no longer feels the need to perform for the sake of Hollywood etiquette. In a series of remarkably candid reflections, shared during his 2025 and 2026 press tours for his book, Future Boy, Fox has offered an intimate look at how he envisions his final farewell. His approach to his own mortality is defined by a desire for a peaceful death without drama, a sentiment that carries over into his specific wishes regarding those he does not want in attendance at his memorial. This is not a list born of malice, but a deliberate effort to curate an atmosphere of quiet love and authenticity for the family he leaves behind. The first name that often surprises fans is Lea Thompson, his brilliant co-star from the Back to the Future trilogy. Despite their iconic on-screen chemistry, Fox has hinted that their behind-the-scenes dynamic could be complicated. He noted that creative differences often led to moments of tension that were never fully resolved, and in his final moments, he seeks a space free of even the tiniest spark of awkwardness. By requesting she take a pass, Fox is prioritizing a farewell that is reflective of his true personal history rather than a cinematic reunion. The list continues with Patricia Heaton, a talented actress whom Fox respects but with whom he feels a lack of deep, genuine connection. For Fox, the end of life is a time for authenticity and genuine warmth, and he believes that a funeral should be reserved for those who have truly been part of his personal journey, rather than a place for industry. Acquaintances. His honesty here is striking, as he chooses to forego the typical public expectations of celebrity gatherings in favor of his own emotional peace. Perhaps even more surprising is his mention of Quentin Tarantino. While Fox acknowledges Tarantino's genius in the craft of filmmaking, he notes that they see the world in very different ways. Fox has expressed a desire for his family and closest friends to remember him without the potential for philosophical debates or intense discussions on cinema theory that Tarantino's high-energy presence might bring. It is a thoughtful consideration of the energy and mood of his final hour, recognizing that even brilliant minds can be overwhelming at a time meant for mourning. Similarly, Fox has extended a gentle request for Johnny Depp to sit out the service. While Fox admires Depp as a true original, he has observed that Depp's magnetic, but sometimes disruptive presence can be a mismatch for the intimate, reflective, and soothing environment he envisions. Even George Clooney, a man widely admired for his charisma and kindness, is on this list of those Fox would prefer not attend. Fox's reasoning is deeply humble. He fears that someone of Clooney's social brilliance might inadvertently shift the focus of the event. He wants his funeral to be solely for those closest to him, ensuring the focus remains on calm, familiarity, and the shared love of his immediate family. By sharing these boundaries publicly, Fox reveals himself to be a man who, even when contemplating the end, remains a lucky man who knows exactly who and what truly matters. In the volatile landscape of Hollywood, where relationships often flicker and fade under the intense heat of the spotlight, the marriage of Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan stands as a rare and enduring monument to devotion. As of early 2026, the couple has been married for 37 years. A journey that began on the set of Family Ties in 1985. Tracy, who initially thought Michael was full of himself, quickly discovered the smart, funny, and deeply grounded man beneath the teen idol exterior. When they wed in Vermont in 1988, neither could have predicted that their vows of in sickness and in health would be tested so profoundly just 3 years later. When the diagnosis of Parkinson's arrived in 1991, Michael famously recalled that Tracy didn't blink. She chose to be on the front lines with him every single day, becoming the bedrock upon which he built his second act as a global advocate. The strength of their partnership is perhaps most visible in the lives of their 4 children: Sam, twins, Aquina, and Skylar, and Esme. For these young adults, Michael's Parkinson's is not a tragedy they witness from the outside. It is the atmospheric reality of their upbringing. Tracy has noted that since Michael was diagnosed before the twins and Esme were born, and very early in Sam's life, it is simply all they have ever known. Rather than casting a shadow, the disease has acted as a catalyst for profound character development. Michael has proudly observed that his children have learned empathy, resilience, and sorting out what's important from what's not. In their home, if Michael is reaching for something, the children simply assist him and carry on with their conversation, treating the physical hurdles with a matter-of-fact grace that strips the illness of its power to intimidate. The family recently entered a joyful new chapter with the marriage of their eldest son, Sam, to Molly Milstein in late 2025. The intimate New York City ceremony was a reflection of the family's core values: private, heartfelt, and centered on laughter. Tracy shared that the most important advice they gave the newlyweds was to find something to laugh about together every day. This philosophy of finding humor in the hardship has been the secret to their own 37-year survival. At the Foundation's annual gala in November 2025, the family put on a united front, with Michael and Tracy joined by all 4 children to celebrate the $2.5 billion raised for research. The evening even saw Michael shredding on the electric guitar, a testament to his refusal to let the disease dampen his spirit. As Michael reflects on his life at 64, he credits Tracy with being the person he checks in with, first and last, every day. She has transitioned from co-star to partner, to a tireless advocate and board member of the foundation. The children, too, have become extensions of this mission. Esme recently completed the New York City Marathon to raise funds in her father's honor, a feat that left Michael very proud. This family unit is the anchor in the storm that allows Michael to face his mortality with such clear boundaries. He knows that when the lights of Hollywood finally dim, he is surrounded by a love that is not performative, but forged in the daily, difficult, and beautiful reality of a life lived for one another. Michael J. Fox at 64 is far more than a nostalgia act or a figure of public sympathy. He is a man who has successfully navigated the transition from being a prisoner of his diagnosis to becoming its most formidable adversary. Through his reflections on life, legacy, and even the finality of a funeral, he invites us to think about our own boundaries and the importance of curating a life that reflects our true selves. His honesty, humor, and wisdom shine through, revealing a man who, even in contemplating the end of life, remains thoughtful, deliberate, and unmistakably himself. The very specific wishes he holds regarding the people he does not want to attend his funeral are not rooted in anger, but in a profound understanding of emotional space and the desire to honor his final moments in peace. As we look toward the future, the impact of the Michael J. Fox Foundation continues to accelerate, with billions of dollars fueling a search for a cure that once seemed impossible. Yet, perhaps his greatest contribution is not found in a laboratory, but in the example he sets for living with dignity. By choosing authenticity over industry expectations, he reminds us that even when the body falters, the spirit can remain unconquerable. He has shared his life story and advocacy through literature, offering inspiration and practical wisdom to millions who face their own chronic illnesses and adversities. Each name he mentions for his final list carries a story and a boundary that illustrates the delicate balance he maintains between being a global celebrity and a man who treasures his personal authenticity. Michael J. Fox has spent decades under constant public attention, yet he has retained a deeply private and introspective nature. He has built a warm and lively family with Tracy Pollan, raising 4 children who have grown up surrounded by creativity, laughter, and steadfast devotion. Their shared journey, balancing the demands of Hollywood fame with the responsibilities of parenthood, remains one of the most heartwarming stories in the industry. As he continues to look up and live life fully despite adversity, he serves as a beacon of hope for all of us. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the life and legacy of a true icon. Michael J. Fox's story is a testament to the power of resilience and the importance of claiming one's own peace. If you found this tribute meaningful, please subscribe to Memories of the Stars and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode of our celebrity investigative series. What do you think about Michael's decision to set such clear boundaries for his final farewell? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We look forward to seeing you in our next journey through the lives of the legends who shaped our world.